Hello, welcome back to Floor Time. It's been a hot minute. I did the first two episodes and then just stopped because I realized how much work it is. And then I got really busy. I started this in the middle of busy season, which is fine. But what are you doing? My dogs are here, clearly. And, well, if you're watching this, it's clear. I always speak as if people are watching this, but I know that's not necessarily the case. In fact, a couple of you told me that you listen in the car on your way to work or whatever, and that makes me very happy to be in your ear on your way to your job while I sit on my floor. Anyway, I started this and then I just stopped because it is a lot of work, and I talked about that in the last episode, I think. But then I got really busy, and then I kept wanting to do it, but then it takes so much setup. And the biggest thing was I wasn't really sure what to talk about, but it's fine. So I've collected some things. I have some updates, and let's just get into it. Last time I talked all about how my NP told me that my thyroid was enlarged, and so I claimed my new name as Goiter Girl, and I was going to go get an ultrasound on my thyroid. Since then, I have some updates. I got blood work. My thyroid was normal. I got the ultrasound, and I went to the radiology place, and I laid down on this thing, and it was this dark little room, and the girl was so nice, and she was like, "Why are you here? Why are you getting this?" And I said, "Apparently, my thyroid is enlarged." And she was like, "Okay." And so she goes through and she says, even if there's nodules, usually that's benign. So many people have nodules. It's insanely common. She said in the radiology, ultrasound tech school that she was in, they would find them on each other all the time. So she does the whole ultrasound on me. She measures my thyroid, and everything's completely normal. So I've retired my name as Goiter Girl, and I'm kind of salty on my NP, to be honest with you, because why would you say my thyroid is enlarged when it's literally not? So anyway, that's the newest update with that, which I guess is going to be the only update with that. A couple weeks before my thyroid ultrasound, I also saw the ophthalmologist because I've had issues in my right eye before. I guess I'll explain it. In times of intense stress, I have had the back of my eye swell. So the macula basically swells up with some fluid. It's called central serous retinopathy. And it's kind of scary because that's your vision and your eye, and that's kind of an important part of functioning, especially as a photographer. But it also, when it's been intense before, it makes driving difficult and things like that. So anyway, it's not that big of a deal, but it resolves itself because it's stress induced. But I wanted to check and make sure that my retina is looking healthy and everything, so I did go. But I saw a new doctor in the same practice, and I went. They were flying through everything. They let me into the appointment. They did the pressure test on my eye. They started dilating my eyes. They took the pictures of my retinas. It was flying. And then they put me in the room to wait for the doctor to come look over my scans with me, look at my eyes and stuff like that. I was waiting in that room for an hour, which was crazy. But I had my phone with me, and I had enough data on my phone. Sometimes, in the worst scenarios, you don't have any service and you're just sitting there. In this particular instance, I had enough data to watch Gilmore Girls on my phone, which was a huge blessing because I was just sitting there and I thought they forgot about me. So I almost was gonna poke my head out and be like, "Hey guys, are we good?" But he eventually came and told me my eyes look great, which is a huge blessing. So health-wise, things are good, even though I was kind of scared there for a second that Goiter Girl had some sort of hypothyroidism, or I don't know. I was even like, do I have thyroid cancer? But I had no symptoms of anything. So I'm chronically a hypochondriac, and nothing came of any of that. So that's good news. Other than that, we also went to Disneyland, I think that same week, the week after I did my eye appointment. Went to Disneyland. One of our couples from this year had given us tickets as a thank you for wedding photography and videography, which was so, so sweet. So we went to Disneyland, and we went to California Adventure as well because they gave us Hopper tickets. And I hadn't been to California Adventure in years. I cannot tell you the last time I had been. Probably in high school, like early high school. So that was fun. We kind of just took it easy since they were free tickets. We didn't feel like this insane pressure to do everything. And also, I'm just of the mindset these days with Disneyland, like just go and enjoy and kind of go with the vibes. When we were younger and we had passes and, we'd go and it was this big deal, we, would max out on everything, like run to Space Mountain first thing because that's the one that was at the time the longest line, and then Indiana Jones right after that, and then, we'd hit all the big rides that we wanted to do. But as an adult, I have found that I just like the vibes. So we kind of just went with vibes, but we discovered pretty soon, we were hoping a Tuesday would not be too busy. We were mistaken. We also thought weather-wise it would be pretty good because it had just been raining a ton. And so we were like, okay, it's going to be a cold, maybe drizzly day. Like, that's a great time to go to Disneyland. But it was the week before Thanksgiving. And so I don't know. It was just one of the busiest days I've ever experienced in the parks. And it was so busy that Justin partway through was like, let's just buy the fast pass thing, and it's just weird because you used to be able to just get fast passes, but Justin was talking about how eventually that wasn't going to work anymore. Eventually they were going to have to start charging for it and make it harder and harder to play that game. So we did end up buying the Lightning Pass stuff because what really put us over the edge was we had made like a lunch reservation at, I don't remember what it's called. It's a restaurant in California Adventure. And so between that, we had gone on something, I don't even remember what. What did we do? The roller coaster? Yeah, I think we went on, it's now called the Incredicoaster. We did that, and then we had time to kill, so we went on one of the little rocket thingies. And then we went on Ariel because it was 25-minute wait, whatever. We thought, let's just do that between now and lunch. And then we got in the line, and we were standing in line for almost 50 minutes before we were like, we gotta go. And we were just really sad that that time was wasted. But then we met up with one of our brides, actually, from a different wedding. We met up with her later in the evening because she has passes, and she was saying that Ariel is notoriously terrible with the lines and the waits and stuff. So we've got beef with Ariel, and that just kind of became the running joke throughout the day. Where are you gonna go? Pfeiffer just got up and she's looking around. What's going on, little girl? Look how majestic she is. Anyway, so the Ariel ride is now what we will be referencing for the rest of our lives when something is taking an incredible amount of time. Anyway, but Disneyland was really fun. This was right after I'm kind of talking out of order, sorry, but this was right after the rainiest weekend we have had in forever. And that weekend, Justin and I were both shooting weddings, separate weddings. Both, one was, I think, in Long Beach, and mine was in the San Diego area. I had to cross treacherous roads to get there. I think we all did. It was crazy. I left with plenty of time because I'm constantly scared that I'm going to be late to a wedding if there's traffic or whatever. So I left with plenty of time, and thank the Lord I did, because those freeways are not built for rain. I was hydroplaning. I was going slow. I had my hazards on. I was trying to just follow the car in front of me. It was literally reminding me of the spring storm that I experienced in Ohio, which is Midwest rain is, they've got real rainstorms. This was like that. And I was terrified for my life. And while I was driving, the coordinator called me and she was like, hey, the venue has never hosted a wedding before, and they're just now asking all the vendors to sign a vendor agreement. And I told her, my goal right now is to get there alive. So that is very low on my priority list right now. We're going to deal with that later. And she was completely on the same page because everybody's just trying to survive to get to this wedding. That last minute, the couple had to book because of all the rain. They were originally supposed to have a outdoor wedding, backyard and all that stuff. But then this massive storm comes through. And so last minute they found this venue. It ended up being really nice. It was like kind of this warehouse situation. I don't know really how to explain it, but it was really pretty. It was nice wide open space inside with white walls and all that kind of stuff. So it was really cute. But I did have to shoot that wedding kind of braving the rain, which is totally fine. The bride and groom were just, chilling all day. I was really glad that they were still having a great day despite all the changes. They really rolled with the punches that week, because it was about Tuesday, I think, that they texted me, hey, we have to change our venue and all of that stuff. So they figured it out within a couple of days, which was great. And everybody just came together and made it work. And we got some of the coolest, moodiest rain photos. I brought my umbrellas that I have, like the clear dome umbrellas that I bring just in case of rain. And it was so cute. Like, we were in this park for bridal party and portraits and stuff before the ceremony, because it had some covered areas that we were able to use. And then it had like this little greenery area, and the green, like the deep greens combined with the moody rain and all of that were just amazing. And then the park actually had a clubhouse that, when I think of a park clubhouse, I think of like a room with linoleum tile on the ground and like, I don't know, like a schoolroom almost. But it was the most classy and vibey clubhouse room I've ever seen. So those are my Instagram if you're curious. But yeah, that's another thing that's happened since last time we talked. After that, well, actually, before that wedding, we had been fighting a cold like days and days before. And last time I shot while getting over a cold, I got really sick afterwards. So I was really nervous that was going to happen this time and that we're going to have to postpone Disneyland. Mostly because it's not like I was really hoping, oh no, I really want to go to Disneyland. I just was going to feel really bad that Justin took this day off of work to plan this, and like we're both looking forward to it and stuff like that, and then I was going to have to cancel it. But I was just really worried that I had an ear infection, because that happened last year after I shot a wedding and was getting over a cold. I shot everything. I had this terrible sore throat, and all the inflammation and everything caused a ear infection. So this time I was gaslighting myself that I had an ear infection for like 2 or 3 days, and I didn't. So may this be a lesson to us all, to not gaslight ourselves into being sick. So after that, we had Thanksgiving. On the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, we did Thanksgiving with Justin's side of the family. And then on Thursday, all of my family came up and came to the mountain. We did, I did the turkey this year, which I have made a turkey once before. And my dad has a way that he really likes to do it where he slow cooks it all night. But I am I go to bed so early, and that method requires you to kind of stay up late so that you can have it finishing at the time you need to, serve the turkey and stuff. And I'm not going to stay up for that. Sorry. So this was weird because I was doing all this research on, how to cook a turkey, which the biggest thing is like people are just chronically afraid, and myself included, of having a dry turkey. That's like the worst. So I was looking up all these different recipes and ways to do it, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I had this 20-pound turkey. It was going to take 4 to 4.5 hours to cook. I did it at 350 instead of 325 because in my oven, it just takes longer to cook things sometimes. But I checked on the turkey about 3.5 hours in, and it was overdone. Now, it turned out fine. It tasted fine. It wasn't super dry. It was like a little dry in some parts, but that's turkey. So that was weird. It was really done. I checked the temperature, and it was in the spots where I was hoping it was going to be close to 165. It was like almost 200 degrees. So I don't know what happened there, but I'm really glad I checked it when I did, because I was trying to be patient. I was trying not to open the oven door and let out all the heat and then extend the cook time and all of that kind of stuff. But I checked it early, and it was done. It was done early. So other than that, everything was good. We had all the usual stuff, and then we went on a little walk around the lake. Well, not around the lake. We went down to the lake and back. We kept it super chill, and it was nice. The Dogs got to play with my niece and nephew, which was so fun. I was telling them all week, I was telling the dogs, you're going to have so much fun on Thursday. You don't even know. They don't even know. They just wake up and they're like, what's today? You know, it's kind of funny. Dogs just exist and they kind of just do whatever you're doing. You know, I don't regret making this floor time, but sitting crisscross applesauce on the ground for extended periods of time does really hurt my hips. I am no longer 10 years old, apparently. Also, speaking of not being 10 years old anymore, it was my birthday. What day is it today? The 11th. It was my birthday 9 days ago. I turned 29 and I didn't really do anything. So for my birthday, I requested some donuts from our local market because they have these like cronuts, you know, like the croissant donuts. I wanted to try those and it was so good. So Justin brought those for me in the morning. He brought me coffee. Well, he made me coffee. He asked, do I want coffee from the shop or do I want him to make me a coffee? And I've taught him how to make lattes. So he made me a latte and I had 2 donuts and I just laid in bed for a long time. And then I think we went and got a coffee partway through the day. And then we went to dinner and I had the most amazing mac and cheese. There was this starter at the restaurant we went to with this special like ale mac and cheese. Oh my gosh. It was so good. It was made with cavatappi. Is that how you say it? Cavatappi noodles. And it was divine. And I've thought about it multiple times since. I really need to learn how to make a good cheese sauce. Because growing up, the mac and cheese we would eat, if it, you know, wasn't Kraft, we would just like put a bunch of cheese in it. And that's how we ate it. But as I've gotten older, I've tried different mac and cheeses that have like a cheesy sauce. And I can never get it right because when I try to do that, a lot of the times it just becomes this like lump of cheese and it's not good. So yeah, I need to look up a recipe probably because I hate following recipes. I really just, in general, I don't like being told what to do, but I also don't like how long it takes to read the instruction, to get the thing, to measure it, to do the, you know, like it's just so much hassle. So that's why I don't bake very much. I like cooking more because cooking is more vibes, you know, like if you know what you like as far as seasonings and whatnot, you can kind of tweak things as you go. But baking is a lot more, well, it's chemistry, like it's science. You have to do it correctly to make it turn out well. But when it comes to like mac and cheese and cheese is so specific and milk is so specific because if you get it too high of a temperature, then it burns and it's just a whole thing. So anyway, maybe one of my New Year's resolutions should be to be better at recipes. Maybe I should try to follow like a recipe a week or something. That sounds like a lot though. Maybe a recipe a month. We will see. Speaking of New Year's resolutions, Bethany, Nellie, and I like to give each other New Year's resolutions every year. And usually there's like a combination of a silly or fun one combined with a more serious one. Like, hey, I see this in your life. I think, you know, this resolution would improve your health or whatever. It's not that serious. It's just like, you know, I feel like when you have somebody close in your life, you can kind of see something that would benefit them. And it's fun to like, it's all solicited. Like we're all into it because it's fun. So for example, Bethany, was it last year? I think it was last year. She gave me a resolution to go to bed earlier because I had been in this terrible habit of staying up too late. And when I stay up too late, then I sleep in too long, but then I can't go to bed earlier. And it's just this whole thing. And when she told me that, I like flipped a switch. I just started going to bed really early and I've kept that. I mean, I don't go to bed super early, but I start kind of heading towards bed around like 9:30, 10. I need to be getting ready for bed usually. So she kind of helped me to reset my sleep schedule. And she's going to hear this and be like, I'm amazing. I just like changed your life. Chill. I had to change positions because my left leg was falling asleep and now it's going to do that weird thing where it tingles. Anyway, what else? Bethany told me that one of my resolutions for 2026 is going to be watching New Girl. I watched the first several episodes many years ago, probably like 10. Well, no, not 10. Maybe like 7 years ago. I tried it, but I was in kind of this weird phase where I just wasn't like enjoying it. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I'm going to try to start New Girl. Pray for me because I struggle to start shows that I haven't seen before and just commit until it gets better, you know? You know how like the first few episodes of a show, they're still kind of figuring out the characters and everything, and it can be hard to commit, even though I know there's great reviews of this show. So I'm going to start that. I also need to get back into exercising, and not in a like January 1st kind of way, but in a, I normally am going on runs at least a couple times a week. And during busy season, I just have not been running or going on walks or anything. Like, I've just been kind of surviving. So I need to get back into it. And the new year is a really helpful time to kind of reset those habits. So I'm going to try to reset that habit. So yeah, let me know what your New Year's resolutions are. I am not sure what else I'm going to try to do. I know resolutions can be kind of, what's the word? Not gimmicky, but they can kind of be like empty promises to yourself about stuff. And so I know a lot of people find them really cheesy or a waste of time. But I do find that they're helpful to like reset certain things that maybe you need a little clean slate for things. And lately with like cooking and eating and stuff, I've just been surviving. So I've been doing ramen. I have not had ramen, like store-bought packages of ramen, for years. I love ramen out and about, like at a Japanese restaurant or something. But recently I just got this really random hankering for like top ramen. And I had just shot the shoot or something. Like I went on an engagement shoot. Anyway, I was getting back somewhat late and I was like, you know what? I deserve a little treat and I'm going to get ramen and ice cream. So I stopped at the store, got like the 70-cent package of ramen, and it was delicious. So I'm kind of on a ramen kick right now, and I know it's not great for you, but I get into this weird headspace where if I don't just eat something lately, I will put it off. I won't eat like when I'm supposed to, and then I get so hungry, and then I get grumpy, and it's just not good. So lately I've just been trying to eat what's easy, even if it's not super healthy. And I'm also trying to not fight with myself mentally about, oh my gosh, well, this isn't like a healthy choice, and I really should be eating X, Y, and Z. No, I just need to eat. That's just the thing I need to do. So a microwave burrito has been a common meal for me recently because Justin likes those, and I mean, I like them too, but I've tried not to eat them for a long time just because I know I can make myself some eggs and potatoes and whatever for breakfast or even lunch. I mean, that's like a common lunch for me too. But lately I've been keeping it really easy. So ramen, microwave burritos, I don't know what else I've been eating. Mac and cheese. I mean, not box mac and cheese, but I did make some pretty bad mac and cheese the other day. Because again, I tried to make a cheese sauce and it went terribly wrong. But yeah, I think I need to do like a little reset with my meals. I've never been one for meal prepping or meal planning, so maybe I should do that. I have been wanting to talk about Gilmore Girls. I'm doing a rewatch and some backstory for you. Growing up, Bethany and I would watch the first 3 seasons of Gilmore Girls over and over and over because we had them on DVD and we would just binge those. I feel like there was one particular summer where we would just rewatch it constantly. And we were young enough to where it was on TV and season 4 was airing, but Rory goes to college and I just remember not being allowed to watch the new episodes because it was just a little bit more mature at that point and we were pretty young. So then I just kept never watching it after that. And so at some point in college, I tried to start watching season 4, but again, it was probably around the same time I tried to watch New Girl, and I was just in a weird headspace when it came to shows. So I stopped. I watched like maybe 5 episodes of season 4, stopped watching, didn't care, whatever, until this past December, like last year, I got sick. I feel like maybe I've talked about this before, but I got sick. We had to skip some Christmas stuff, so I just laid in bed and watched Gilmore Girls. And I started from season 3 during that time because I was like, you know, Jess is a great character. I want to watch the episodes with Jess. and beyond. So I started from season 3, probably the beginning of that season. It'd be kind of weird to start in the middle of a season. But anyway, I watched the whole thing within a matter of a couple of weeks, and finished that in January, and then didn't touch it at all until a few weeks ago. I decided I will watch from season 1. And the first couple of seasons, well, season 1 particularly, I often find really boring just because I've seen it so many times. But I didn't realize I hadn't seen season 2 in forever. There was so much I forgot that happened. And my perception of how long things took in the series and where they took place was really off. Like, in my brain, I always thought, by the way, major spoilers coming. So if you haven't seen it, not my problem. When Lorelai decides to basically run away from marrying Max, and like they're at the stoplight and everything like that, in my brain, that was the end of season 2. But that is certainly not the case. And I completely forgot that they actually show like the trip they go on, like at the little Airbnb, at the bread and breakfast and all of that stuff. I just forgot about all of that. And I was telling Bethany, I feel like part of that not misconception, but incorrect perception of what happened is not only my young childhood mind and a bad memory, but also we were watching it on DVDs, and it would like end, like an episode would end the disc, and then we'd have to get a new disc and put the new disc in. And I think that must be why in my brain certain things happened at certain times, because that was the end of the disc. So anyway, that was kind of fun to rewatch season 2 and realize how much I forgot. And I just have some thoughts to share. Number 1, we've all kind of decided collectively as a society that Rory isn't who we thought she was when we were younger. And I think that's really interesting to kind of, as an adult, rewatch the series and have a new perspective on it with, this sounds so serious. It's really not that serious, but having kind of an adult perspective, having experienced relationships and friendships and college and all that kind of stuff, rewatching it gives you just a new perspective on these characters. I had been hearing on TikTok people talk about how Rory is just the worst and all this stuff. So last year when I rewatched, I was kind of waiting for that development, and I obviously saw her downfall. There's very specific things that we kind of think of as Rory's downfall. Like her affair with Dean is obviously a huge one. But it starts before that. And then there's certain things that people point out, especially as I kind of am just on Gilmore Girls TikTok now. You kind of just see that she is unable to cope with not being glorified by everybody. And it's just a very fascinating thing to watch. And as I continue watching, because I'm almost done with season 7, I have not seen A Year in the Life. I'll talk about that in a second though. Even now, watching through season 7, I'm realizing how obnoxious Lorelai and Rory both are. I really like Lorelai as a character. I like her way better than Rory. She's a lot more resilient, and she's a lot more genuine in a lot of ways. But they're, from an outside perspective, like imagine these were real people. They would be incredibly obnoxious. Like the way they speak. For a TV show, it's completely fine and it's funny and we enjoy it and they're quick-witted and all that kind of stuff. But if you encountered somebody like that in a coffee shop, I'm specifically thinking about, I just watched an episode, I have no idea why they were in Weston's, but they were sitting in Weston's. Oh, it was the Christmas one where they do Christmas in the New Year because Rory was in London. So she comes back and they're doing all their Christmas things and they're not serving the candy cane hot chocolate, I think, anymore at Weston's. And they're sitting there being so incredibly obnoxious in this cute, cozy little coffee shop, cafe thing. And I'm like, man, if people like that actually were around me in public, I would probably commit violent crimes. But from a viewer's perspective of the show, it's fine. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I think we can all agree all of the characters have their issues. I see a lot of discourse about Emily not being the actual enemy and being a lot more empathetic towards her as you know, people are rewatching the show. Like Bethany's talked about that a lot. So anyway, yeah, I think Rory is just kind of, she's stunted. Like I don't know when she became stunted and why she can't grow up, but she just can't. Something happens to her, man. I don't know what it is. She's just constantly praised by Lorelai and by people in Stars Hollow, and then she goes out into the real world where people don't always like her, especially because, again, she's so obnoxious. Anyway, other than that, one of my biggest pet peeves with this show is the band side story. Not just in the Justice for Lane situation, just in the characters. I find the band characters so incredibly obnoxious and pointless. The only reason they exist is to keep following Lane's story, and Zach is the most obnoxious character. He is stupid. He's not funny. He and Lane have no chemistry whatsoever. She just likes him because he's there, and he's not Dave. And Dave's not there, I mean. So, like, he's just a waste of space, to be completely honest with you. Brian is kind of funny, I guess. Gil is weird. Like, he just is so strange. I just really hate that whole side story. And then, of course, they end up getting married and having twins, which is just so random. I feel like there was no real creativity with that whole side of the series, but whatever. I am on board with Justice for Lane. However, the biggest downfall was Dave leaving. And Bethany told me it was because he went on to OC or something. Whatever. That just really sucked. Like, he was perfect for her. So, it's very sad. Other thoughts. As much as people can empathize more with Emily as they get older, she still is extremely toxic. And not that people are saying she's not toxic, but she is incredibly toxic. I get that, like, she was trying to do her best for her kid, and then her kid was rebellious and things fell apart, but she just holds on to so much, and it's a lot. Let's see. I haven't even touched on Dean. Okay, as a child, when I was watching this show, I was like, oh my gosh, Dean is so cool, and he's so nice, and he's such a good first boyfriend, and blah, blah, blah. That boy never liked Rory. He never liked her. He is so mean. Like, we always thought Jess was the mean one, but if you watch it and you realize that he's just constantly complaining, he constantly doesn't want to do what Rory wants to do, he's not interested in the things that Rory's interested in, and when he does try to be interested, quote unquote, he's complaining the whole time. It's just so annoying, which is why Jess is just obviously so much better for her, because he's actually interested in the things that she's interested in, and they can, like, share their different interests. Not that I don't even know what Jess's interests are. They don't really develop him very much as a person, I feel. He's very much just like an emotional character until the later seasons, like season 6 and 7. Again, full disclosure, have not seen A Year in the Life yet. I'll touch on that in a moment. But yeah, Dean is just terrible. And then obviously we should have known that Rory was toxic and terrible when she started emotionally cheating on Dean with Jess. But as a child, it's just so interesting watching it. When you're younger, you're like, no, yeah, they should be together. No, they shouldn't. She should break up with the guy she doesn't like and then go pursue this boy. But it's crazy how that's just, like, ignored by, I don't know. I mean, Lorelai doesn't really ignore it. She kind of, and the other thing too, when I was younger, I really thought that was a longer process. But now watching it as an older adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, this all happened really fast. And then as soon as Dean replaces Rory in his life and can't have her, then he wants her. Then he's nice to her. And I just think that's really messed up. Okay, so the Year in the Life thing. I haven't seen it because when it came out, I hadn't seen the series except for the first 3 seasons. I didn't have any real interest in watching it, except for I heard something about the last 5 minutes and how it's, like, life-changing. So I watched the last 5 minutes. So I do know the very, very end, and I know that that's Usually that's something I would condemn, but I just was not interested in watching the whole thing. Now I'm going to, and that's fine. There are some things that there's opinions I've formed, like Chris being an absolute garbage human, that Bethany has said, wait till you watch A Year in the Life. So I will report back when I watch it, and it's going to be very soon, probably in the next couple weeks. I'll get to it. But I did start posting about this on my Instagram stories and ask for people's thoughts, so I'm going to read a few of those. So the first thing I posted was about if Christopher was indeed a terrible human being. I put up a poll that said, we hate Chris, and the options were agree, disagree, Lorelai is the real enemy, or other. 15 people agreed. One person disagreed. Who disagreed? I didn't get any explanation about that, I don't think. 3 people said Lorelai is the real enemy. And then a couple people did say other. One of the explanations for the other thing was wait till you watch A Year in the Life. And then the other thing was everybody's toxic, which we can accept. Then I put up a question box that just asked for general Gilmore Girls thoughts. So let's read some of those. One person said, I'm going to keep these anonymous because I didn't say I was going to be sharing these. Somebody said, I don't think Rory should end up with any of the guys from the show considering she's cheated. 100% agree. Rory has cheated so many times. She's a serial cheater. And it's crazy that, like, you're watching the show kind of rooting for her. And then when you rewatch it, you're like, wait a second. She's actually a terrible person. She shouldn't be trusted. She's unsure of her own feelings constantly and switches her feelings constantly and lies constantly and is very annoying and exhausting. Another same person actually said, Luke and Lorelai have no chemistry once they're together. They're not BFFs. I get that. Actually, the only chemistry they ever really had was just the unspoken, like, tension because he's a boy and she's a girl. That's my opinion. He's, like, you know, grumpy and he finds her amusing and stuff like that. That's fine. But they don't really actually have chemistry. Max and Lorelai, I feel, had chemistry because they actually, like, flirted and enjoyed one another's company. I suppose she and Chris kind of have chemistry, but really it's just because he feels, like, safe to her because he's been around so long. Who else did she date? That random guy. Oh, Jason. I think they also had chemistry, but I don't like Jason as a person. I think he's kind of slimy. Someone said Jess is the best boyfriend. I do agree. I do like Logan, although I've received arguments about how Logan is, like, he doesn't really push Rory and he doesn't encourage her to be, you know, like, he's a partier and kind of lazy in some ways, but he is charming and he likes her. So I do appreciate that about him. I like him way better than Dean. I will never stop the Dean slander. Dean is terrible. He doesn't like Rory. He doesn't. Anyway, so I do like Logan because he actually likes Rory and he's a fun, interesting, exciting part of her life. But Jess truly does grow and he wants the actual best for Rory, even though other people want the best for her, but they're not willing to give her the hard truth. Logan's called her out a couple times though. And so I do think he actually wants her to grow. But yeah, Luke and Lorelai should have ended up together sooner. We should see more marriage life. I don't think they should have ended up together sooner because when they're dating, again, first 7 seasons is what I'm talking about. When they're dating, like, they're not interesting together. I do agree with the other submission. Like, they don't actually have chemistry. They care about each other. They support each other. But yeah, I mean, you know, Luke is just weird for a lot of the time. He won't commit fully. So I have issues with that. Lorelai and Rory are actually the worst. They are royal manipulators and are always the victim. Agree. For sure. I think Lorelai, she is a victim, but I don't think she has a lot of real support in her life. And I don't know if I would call her necessarily a manipulator. I don't know. I'd want to, like, talk more about that. Somebody else said, I genuinely might walk down the aisle to where you lead, which is adorable. You should definitely do that. I like that for you. The only boyfriends I liked were Luke and Dave. Yes. Dave, yes. He was actually a likable character. Luke, I love Luke as a character, but not as a boyfriend. We don't talk enough about how annoying Dean's little sister was. Yeah, Clara. It's not really her fault, probably, because, well, no, it is her fault because she's just a bad actress. But, child actors are just often terrible. I now am at the part where, like, Gigi is old enough to, kind of be included as a person. And she's terrible. She's a terrible actor. And she's, like, 3 or something, so you can't really blame her. But, like, I blame the casting directors. Find another child. How hard is it to find? Like, there are plenty of 3-year-olds that can act way better than Gigi. Like, she just sucks. And also, they, like, constantly ignore her when she's around. They, like, acknowledge her and then completely go off their, like, crazy, fast conversations and wittiness and all that stuff while she's just there existing. And I find that very unrealistic. Children are extremely obnoxious and loud. So you would think that she'd be interjecting a lot more, especially if she's supposed to be like the child of Christopher. Like in the last episode I watched with the Christmas thing, they walk out of the house to greet Rory because she's back from London, and they make a joke about how she's coming back from London, and they make Gigi say like, hey, there's the red coat or something like that. And it's like, if that was supposed to make us think that she's been influenced by Lorelai and Chris and their humor, that's just, I found that line so stupid. Like, an adult should have said that. A child is not going to say that. And it wasn't even implied that, like, one of the adults told her, oh, go say this to Rory, Somebody said the world isn't ready for my opinions on Chris. That's funny. Somebody else said, it's my comfort show, but they're also problematic in different ways, but I don't care. And I agree with that because they are all problematic, and that's what makes it an interesting show. That's what keeps us around, is the drama. Somebody said, was rewatching the season 4 finale with mom. Such a good episode. Then I remembered Rory and Dean. Yeah, what a wild... It shouldn't be surprising, though. Again, she already had cheated on him. And once somebody cheats, they're just... Unless they have a dramatic life shift and change of heart, and they, like, actually realize how terrible that they were, of course she was going to cheat on him, or cheat with him. She cheated on him. So why on earth would he expect, or, well, he cheated with her, but yeah, I don't know. It's just messed up and weird. The last submission I'm going to read is actually from Justin, and he said, I'm just honored to have created the ambient rooms, which if you saw last year, Walmart put out, like, on YouTube, you can pull up like a fireplace ambient room or whatever. They put out a bunch. There was one for like a house. There was one for, I don't even remember all of them, to be honest with you, but Justin was one of the editors for those. And he was doing all the edits for the Luke's Diner ambient room. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I was very excited to be like going around parading that my husband was the one that edited that ambient room. And he's obviously joking. He doesn't actually care that he was involved with that. I think he can recognize that it was cool, but he does not care about Gilmore Girls. Anytime a character comes on screen, he goes, oh, do you like them? And I say, no, they're terrible. He said, they're my favorite character. He's very contrary. Okay, that concludes all the Gilmore Girls thoughts. This whole episode is basically about Gilmore Girls, and that's fine, because I don't really have a whole lot of other things to say currently. Oh, no, I lied. I do have one more complaint about the show. It drives me bonkers when they go somewhere, sit down. Particularly, this happens all the time at Luke's. They go, sit down, pour a cup of coffee, take a sip of it maybe, and then they leave. Are you kidding me? They do that all the time. It's so annoying. Sometimes the coffee is poured and they don't even touch it. And this happens with their food. They will just randomly leave the diner. It's insane, and it's wasteful, and it's unrealistic, and I don't like it. Let me know if you have any Gilmore Girls thoughts. It's not really a show that I've watched a ton. I know a lot of people do. They're usually like a rewatch every year. But yeah, I'm enjoying rewatching it. After this, I will watch A Year in the Life and report back. And then after that, I will start New Girl. We're also enjoying Stranger Things, of course, as everybody else is. We binged it in one night, which I don't mind, but I also didn't realize that we were going to have to wait like a month before the next volume was out. So that's kind of a bummer. I really like that show. I don't really have a lot of thoughts except for there's so much I forgot that happened. So after we finished the first four episodes that came out? I started again from season 1 just to kind of like refresh my brain on everything. So yeah. In unrelated news, more house related stuff, I'm almost done with my gallery wall in this room, in the sunroom. There's a couple spots that I want to fill with something, but it's pretty much filled out really well. I've gotten a lot of it from Facebook Marketplace, or one of the things is from Goodwill. Multiple of the things are from the Buy Nothing group that I'm in. A couple things are from my grandma's house. So it's all been secondhand, which is kind of fun. So I need to finish up some things on the wall, print a couple pictures, but I think it's looking good. I posted a gallery wall tour on my Instagram stories today, so if that interests you, follow me on Instagram, which I'm sure you already do, because who's listening to this except for like my closest friends? I went to Target yesterday. I also posted a haul on my story. It wasn't really like a giant haul. I just wanted to show you like the new shirts I got. And I got 2 new pairs of jeans. I got 2 sweaters. This is one of them. And I got 2 new shirts. I'm also wearing one of them. It's just a light pink long sleeve. But man, clothes are hard. I am always looking for clothes that I could shoot weddings in when I'm out at Target or wherever, because you want something professional, but you want it to be functional, but usually you're trying to wear all black. I know a lot of photographers don't care about wearing all black. I just find it to be easier, because once you kind of stray outside of black, you really have to get the right like dress code of formality, I feel. You know, I see some photographers wear, you know, formal dresses and things like that to weddings, and that's fine. But I'm most comfortable if I have pockets or something. I do have this new kind of, it's like a knit skirt and tank top set that I've been wearing, and I like that a lot, but it doesn't have pockets, so I do have to use like my fanny pack or something. And then I'll kind of mix the tank top with other pants that I have. But the other pants I have are either this one pair of black jeans that's pretty casual, somewhat. I mean, yeah, I would say they're pretty casual, but they're black, so I kind of can dress them up a little bit. And then my other pants that I have I call them my fancy pants. They're really just slacks, and those are fine, but the tone of black is different for those pants than the shirt that I wore once with them. And I don't really care, because nobody's really looking at me on a wedding day. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm wearing 2 different colors of black. Nobody cares. But I do notice it. So if you have brands that you really like for semi-professional looking clothes, I'd love to know. We decorated for Christmas. I don't know what we're doing for Christmas yet. I do know we have one more wedding, and then I'll be taking like a month off. Well, I'll second shoot one time, but that to me is not, like, if you're second shooting, you're not doing a ton of pre-wedding stuff, and on the day of, you might lead a couple things if like you split up groomsmen and bridesmaid photos, but you're not leading, so it's way less socially exhausting and mentally exhausting. I really like second shooting, so I'll do that once, and Justin will actually be at the wedding as well, second shooting for video, so that should be fun. But other than that, I'm taking like a month off from work, which I'm really excited for. And at the end of January, I'm going to go visit Vanessa in Texas, because it's her baby shower, and I'm going to do maternity photos for her. So that will be really fun. And then other than that, I need to plan a trip to North Carolina to visit Nellie and Joe. But just like finding a good time for that has been a little bit difficult, just because Justin does want to come and he would have to take time off of work. I'm just really happy to not be driving a ton right now. Although the other day I had to shoot in Malibu, and from where I live now, it's a couple of hours away, which is totally fine. But then on the way back, the traffic in winter months, specifically when you have a drive and the sunset is at like 4:45, your drive back is going to be during rush hour. So the ETA when I got to Malibu is like over 4 hours to get back home, which is insane. When I finished the shoot, it was going to be like 3.5. So I stayed for dinner. I like really treated myself, to be honest with you. I went to a restaurant right near Point Doom. It's called like the Sunset or something like that. I can't remember. Sunset Restaurant or something. And I used tip money, so it was cash. And I just decided, you know what? Today was like a 9-hour day just for a 1-hour shoot. So I'm going to get some treats. So I got a pasta and a little drink and mashed potatoes and a dessert. And it was delicious. So don't regret that at all. But yeah, if I was putting it on the business card, I probably would have just gone to like Chick-fil-A or something. But yeah, so I love being home. I'm such a homebody. I'm curious if you are also a homebody. I used to not be so much of a homebody. I used to really enjoy being out late and going on adventures and whatnot. I feel like in college, though, when you're constantly surrounded by a bunch of friends, there's always something new and exciting and fun to do. Whereas now, as like a working adult, you kind of are conserving your energy for like the main things you need to do in life. So I am way less adventurous these days. But I was thinking the other day, actually, while I was in Malibu, maybe we need to plan for more just fun adventure things. And not like adventure. I mean adventure in the sense that I used to use it all the time. Like, let's go on an adventure, and we literally just drive to the beach. I think I just need to, maybe that should be one of my resolutions, is doing more fun things on purpose and not waiting around for something fun to happen or like a last minute thing, because it's easy just to get in kind of a monotonous routine of work, church, come home, Costco, this and that, you know? So yeah, I think that'll be a resolution for me. Cooking more, planning meals more, like those are like the same resolution. Getting back into outside activities and then planning for more fun things. I think that'll work. I'm going to wrap it up here. I have no idea how long I've been talking, and this was kind of an all over the place episode, except for a huge chunk of it was obviously about Gilmore Girls. So hopefully you were interested in Gilmore Girls. If not, thanks for powering through just to hear me yap. I wanted my next episode to be with Justin, but I asked him, I think it was like a week or two ago, and he wasn't quite ready, which is fine. His debut is a big deal, you know, we don't want to rush it. So I would really like to have him on though, because there's some fun things I want to talk about. I want to talk about how we got engaged, because I like our proposal story. I want to talk about our travel stories and stuff. So that should be a fun episode, but we have to convince him. So perhaps if you're watching, you could leave a little comment asking him to join. But yeah, I'm really glad that my dog was here the whole time. He is the most precious little ball. He's not obviously in the full frame, or he's not fully in frame if you're watching, but he's in a little ball and he's so cute and I can't handle it.